welcome back to The Independent Pianist. I'm your host, Cole, as always, and today we are looking at Chopin's Berceuse. This is one of my favorite pieces. I've played it for many years, and it was one of Chopin's last compositions, actually. It's a pretty high opus number from the mid-1840s. It's an extraordinary piece in many ways. First of all, because as far as I know, this is the first time in musical history that the term berceuse was used in a musical composition. There were so many composers who used this title after Chopin, including Liszt and Busoni and Grieg and many others, but it seems that Chopin was the first to pioneer this. Please do let me know in the comment section if you know of an earlier piece with this title. As far as I can tell, this is the first, but I'd be very curious to know if someone found out something different. The word berceuse is a French word which can refer to a lullaby, its use in this piece, but also to the singer of the lullaby, as well as to a rocking chair. So it's a lullaby, and the use of this title is kind of ironic because Chopin really considered himself to be a musical conservative. I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but he was very much against the fanciful titles and imaginative scenarios of his colleagues like Liszt, Schumann, Berlioz, and so forth. For instance, Chopin was thrown into hysterical merriment over what he saw to be the ludicrous programs that were invented for his own pieces by Robert Schumann, as well as Friedrich Wieck. And for the most part, Chopin confined himself to generic titles that either describe the form of the work or its genre or purpose. So titles like Prelude, Etude, Sonata, Mazurka, Polonaise, Nocturne, and the like. All these terms already existed. There were composers who composed mazurkas and polonaises before Chopin. But once in a while, he pioneered some terms which were totally new and very telling about his style. One such famous example, of course, is the use of the word ballade for a piano piece, which hasn't been used by very many other composers. Notably, Brahms wrote some ballades, but this was really a unique idea of Chopin's. The ballade was an epic poem before Chopin. It wasn't used for music or for piano music, but it's amazing how much insight that actually gives into those masterworks. And when we examine the idea of a berceuse, this already suggests an image. So already this is much more fanciful than Chopin usually allowed himself to be. In reality, Chopin was nowhere near the musical conservative he imagined himself to be. Many of his musical and technical innovations directly contributed to the future of music. And in a piece like this, I think we can hear he's directly anticipating the pianistic and musical style of the major Impressionist composers. Now, if we're looking at the music itself, the most extraordinary thing about it is the way in which the material is restricted. It's really very minimalistic in this sense. In the first two bars of the piece, the left hand sets the harmony. So we have only two chords here. We have a tonic chord, a D-flat major chord, and a dominant chord, the A-flat dominant seventh chord, with a D-flat in the bass holding throughout. From this moment on, for the first three quarters of the piece, this constant alternation of tonic and dominant continues without change. It has a very hypnotic, beautiful effect, perfect for a lullaby, of course. The form of this piece is one of the oldest forms in music, and we've touched on this from time to time on this channel. I've had a few pieces in variation form on here. The theme of this variation is very short, very simple. If you think about it, it really has to be with such a restricted accompaniment. So it's only 4 bars long. Here it is. After this theme, we get 12 variations, and it's somewhat reminiscent at first of a classical variation set, a set of variations written by Beethoven or Mozart, in the sense that they show gradually increasing complexity and speed. Gradually, more and more notes are fit into each bar. We get to double notes, 3-note chords, and the like. So this progression holds true for the first 10 variations, but then there are 2 variations at the end that slow things down again. And that's actually very unlike most theme and variation sets up until this point. Chopin shows an amazing variety and imagination in the way that he varies the theme. I have included annotations, of course, in the video to kind of show what each variation's major characteristics are, but I'll highlight a few of my favorite ones now. The first two variations I think are remarkably beautiful. They overlap very seamlessly, so you can hardly tell where variation 2 begins, but they also show very beautiful two-part counterpoint. It's a wonderful challenge to balance both of these voices in the right hand. Kind of high point, emotionally and also aurally, is reached with this oddly ecstatic variation. The interesting thing to note here is how much Chopin accomplishes with just the right hand. So again, there is two-part counterpoint here. The top and bottom notes of this figure outline a lovely idea in two parts. So listen to them once without the figuration. And then again in the final version. So it's a small, telling, beautiful example of the way that Chopin could dress up his underlying structure. The underlying structure, though, is very sturdy and well put together. After the 12th and final variation, Chopin finally introduces a change in harmony, although the D-flat pedal point in the bass remains unchanged. On this last page, he's basically writing a very long, drawn-out cadence. This final cadence spans over the entire last page, and what we get first is we get a 5/4 chord in the key of D flat major. So this is a D flat major chord with a minor seventh, a dominant seventh chord. Chopin holds this for 4 bars, then moves to a G flat major chord, the 4 chord in the key of D flat major. 2 bars on that, then the 5 chord, an A flat dominant seventh, and finally back to D flat major, the home chord, the tonic chord, or 1. So the whole progression sounds like this. And now with Chopin's masterful elaborations. So that's it for this short but extraordinarily beautiful piece. Please enjoy the complete performance coming up in a few moments. Please also consider supporting the channel financially if you're able to do that. One way you can do this is through patreon.com, www.patreon.com/independent pianist. You can sign up for monthly donations there. Any amount is very helpful for allowing me to continue bringing you this content. You can also make one-time donations through other electronic means. I have links to PayPal, Revolut, Venmo, and others in the the description box. Also, you can consider studying with me if you'd like to take your piano playing to the next level. My studio is getting a little bit full these days, but I do have some space left, so if you're interested in that, please do just drop me a line at cole@independentpianist.com and we can have a free consultation. But besides that, please just stay tuned. For next week, we'll have some more beautiful music for you, and keep practicing.